Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Samantha and I'm back with a brand new video. In today's video we're going to be talking about wedding planning, my wedding planning tips coming from a bride who planned her own wedding, of course with Albert's help, but for the most part just like what it was like, any tips and tricks that I have for you if you're planning a wedding of your own, or if you're kind of debating if you want to plan your own wedding or get a wedding planner. I hope this video is helpful for you. I'm a type A bride in the sense that I love organization, I love planning, I love having a plan A and a plan B, and I love structuring everything. We kind of just planned it ourselves because I knew that I would really enjoy it because I just love organizing stuff anyway. I came to the conclusion that because I enjoyed planning the wedding and I knew that I would be so heavily involved in it, that it would just made the most sense to allocate that money to something else like food. I think I did a great job at logistics and budgeting and research and planning my own wedding, that if you are based in Vancouver or actually anywhere else in the world and want someone to come in and help you plan a wedding, I'm not certified, but honestly, I feel like I could do a great job. Okay, so let's jump into this video. I'm going to be sharing 5 wedding planning tips if you are planning your own wedding. This is basically planning 101. This is something that you will see if you were to Google like how do I plan a wedding, is like research at the start and plan out your budget and the timeline of when you want anything and everything to be accomplished or communicated. Once you start getting into the nitty-gritty of everything, it's really easy to get carried away and just to forget because there's so many things that are happening at the same time. So the very first thing in my type A brain that I did at the start was map out. Basically, we had about a year to a year and like a half to plan everything. I mapped out every single thing that I knew I needed to do. I did a ton of research on wedding blogs, looked at wedding checklists, etc. to see if I was missing anything from my list, and I basically just wrote every single thing down on a piece of paper with a little checkbox. And then from there, I prioritized and reorganized things based on priority of time. As an example, stuff like setting a day to talk to your partner about budgets, to researching wedding venues and then booking the wedding venues, or booking the key vendors that you need to book way in advance before going into the details of everything else. So I'm talking about venue, I'm talking about photographer, videographer, I'm talking about food and bevies, so decor, floral. These are huge aspects of the wedding that need to be planned ahead of time, and you need to give yourself the grace and time in order to plan ahead and do your due diligent research. Those things were basically at the top of my list, and then I just broke it out by like how many months before the wedding. So it's like a workback schedule. So if you guys are project managers or managers in general at work, you've heard the term workback schedule, where you start from the end date of like, so in this case the wedding date, and then you break it down into like a few weeks before, a month before, 3 months, 6 months to a year, and that way you get to plan out a timeline of when everything needs to be done first, and then what needs to be checked up on closer to the date. Second on the list, which kind of ties into the first tip for wedding planning, is prioritizing. Now, I remember this when I was planning too, like there's always the more fun things that you want to get started off when it comes to like being a bride, which is like, oh, like wedding dress shopping, or thinking about, you know, bridesmaids dresses, or your bridesmaid's proposal, or, you know, like looking at Pinterest for like flowers and like basically how you want the entire wedding to look, speeches, your dance. So important to prioritize, like I said, with the workback schedule of what like nitty-gritty things that may not be as fun. Like for me, budgeting was not fun, and I would definitely like involve your partner as early as possible in the process, because Albert was such a huge help with the entire process. When it came to things like budgeting that I'm not the best at, he kind of stepped in and really helped to expedite things, or when I couldn't make a decision because there's so many options, it was really helpful to have him by my side to be able to give his input as well, because guys, at the end of the day, it's both of your weddings. Prioritization is super important. Set out a hierarchy, like I mentioned in the first point, of what you think or what is more important or most important, and then kind of work down. Because once you have the most important things set aside and completely done with, then you can allow yourself the time to like enjoy wedding dress shopping and not need to really worry about all the other things on your list that you have to do. It really helped to reduce stress and feeling like I was being rushed, because when you plan out things clearly, what I found is that it made things a lot more digestible. Like if you're looking at your entire list of all the things that you need to do a year out for your wedding, it's so overwhelming, you guys. There's so many things happening, there's so many moving parts, and you can get really overwhelmed. Like I've definitely had days, especially at close to my period, where I'm like bawling because I'm so stressed out. But if you take a moment to break it down into like, say this month I'm gonna work on like these 5 main things, it helps make things so much more digestible and so much easier to tackle. The third tip for wedding planning is less opinions is more. Now this is like one thing that I found with wedding planning is that, at least for me, when it came to organization, booking vendors, budgeting, etc., like those things are stressful, but they're doable. The biggest like stress points were managing emotion, managing all these other expectations outside of you and your partner who's getting married, and managing all the emotions that can come from other people in relation to your wedding. One thing that really helped us to minimize any of that additional stress was that we kept a lot of the big decisions to within ourselves. So stuff like where we wanted to have the wedding, like yes, we took into consideration what we thought other people, like especially our family, would think, like in terms of distance, if it was a destination, and you know, etc., like timeline and any cultural additions that we needed to take into account. That being said, we kept those decisions just with each other and did not ask for anybody else's opinion. I think we were also quite lucky in the sense that our families especially were quite respectful when they were giving their opinions and didn't really expect us to follow them, which I know it's not the case with a lot of other people. And so to that I say that do what's in your control and set boundaries of what you allow other people's opinions to affect you. Keep everything contained, help things move faster in terms of like just making decisions, and it was just way less stressful. We took into account that like family especially wants to feel like they're involved, especially if you're the older child. Me, hierarchy of things that you need to do for the wedding, we left some items where we didn't feel too strongly about, and we were like, oh, what do you think about this? I feel like just even asking or posing the question and feeling for them to feel like their opinion is taken into account, and like, you know, they can also be a part of such a big day, because like at the end of the day, like it's special to your family as well. And so we wanted to also ensure that they had a part to play in it. Number 4, utilize technology, you guys. We are living in a tech era, and so why not utilize the tools that are available to us? So this is one of the things that I was actually, okay, the one thing that I was going back and forth with was the wedding invitation. If I'm being completely honest, I personally do not care that much about wedding invitations. Like, I was fully prepared to just go digital because of so many reasons. A, cheaper. B, more efficient. C, faster to get RSVPs and to communicate. Like, send a broadcast message with paperless post. It takes like 5 minutes versus writing out addresses, waiting to get your RSVP cards in the mail. Like, to that seems so archaic to me. But I know that a lot of you guys, a lot of brides love paper invitations. Like, it's such a huge part of the entire experience. I was dabbling with that. I was like, oh, part of me felt like I should do physical invites, whereas my brain was like, doesn't make sense. So we did actually opt to just purely do digital invites. But I get it. Like, I also wanted to have the experience of like putting the invites together, putting it like into an envelope and then sealing it with a wax seal. So what we did is that we went on Amazon. I made my designs through Canva, got it printed at a local print shop, not that expensive, probably like 20 bucks for about 20 cards actually. And so that way I still got the experience of putting the wax seal on, putting the invites together, having a physical invite for like photos and stuff, and to give it to like our parents' friends. But best decision is just us utilizing technology. So we did that with our digital invitations, we did that with budgeting. We just generally just used Excel to calculate everything, because it made things a lot cleaner, a lot more organized, and a lot faster in terms of like calculation and just like moving stuff around, budgeting, etc. So we stuck to technology. We also used Canva. I used Canva to create a lot of the PDFs. If you follow me on TikTok, I have a video about my wedding PDF. I can share it here as well in case you guys are interested. Timelines were all done through Excel, easy to share with the bridal party. It's just a document sharing. It's free, super easy to use. Google Calendar is great for reminders. One thing that I did that really helped organize everything is that whenever we signed a contract, I put it into a Google Drive folder. I put all the dates and deadlines into my Google Calendar so that I would know for sure that I would see it when the month came where we had to submit payments, etc. Last but not least, my fifth tip for wedding planning is over communicate. Just treat this like a job, you guys. Like, everyone has different opinions, everybody has different ways of absorbing information, and I'm not just talking about your friends and your family, I'm talking about your vendors. Over communicate like they don't know anything that you're talking about. And one thing that I made sure of is that when I was talking to my vendors, especially when it came to abstract design, like how I wanted the decor to look overall, how I wanted the flowers to look, you can describe it, but people will be like, huh? And then they just kind of default to what they think they understand. So what I did is I utilized Pinterest, find photos, and over communicate what you're trying to say. Like, the attention to detail is so important that at the end of the day, you would be so glad that you were over communicating and being transparent about your thoughts versus like not sharing and then expecting other people to understand like what you're talking about. I made an entire TikTok video about how to speak to your wedding vendors, but A, be kind. B, be kind because they are actual human beings who are also working and trying their best to do a job. B, again, send an email like you're at work. Don't send a sentence every like email. Like, no one likes to look through an email thread with like 5 different like sentences. You can just put everything into one thing, one paragraph. This just shows like, you know, if you have to send 5 different emails with 5 different sentences, you probably don't know what you want. And so taking a step back and truly understanding what you're trying to communicate and what you want will help make everybody's lives easier. Okay, last but not least, and I just want to preface this by saying that if you guys love this topic, let me know in the comments, because I have so many wedding planning tips to give you. These are more like general overall things that helps everything function well and reduces stress. But of course, like in the nitty-gritty of details and stuff, there's a lot more tips that I can share. So if you like this topic, I can make a series on it. Let me know in the comments down below. You can find me all over the socials. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Pinterest, I'm on TikTok, and I'm here once a week on YouTube. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.